Two. Yes, we are now live. All right.
All right.
So let
Go.
me do a few things here. Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the very first episode of Last Place Fireteam. I'm your host for this week, Yendi, and today we have quite a show for you. We got 5 stories. First up, we have what's going on with the GameStop stocks. Those things are crazy. Nintendo sales are through the roof. Sonic, Tomb Raider, and Skull Island shows are coming to Netflix. Surprise, Google is shutting down its internal studio. And Xbox Live Gold price blunders. But before we go on, let me introduce you to my co hosts, Alan.
Hey, what's up, y'all? I'm Alan, aka Nucleus of Chaos. You can find me, pretty much everywhere. So that's it.
And then we have Chris.
How's it going, guys? My name's Chris, aka Cold Fever. Um, Basically, you can find me on Twitch and Twitter. Yeah, I'm a streamer, ready to game. I'm more the gaming aspect of the channel, and I'm excited to see where this goes.
All right. And I'm Yendi. I'm a father to a cute little daughter. I'll show you here.
Oh,
Here. There you go.
lucky.
Uh,
Oh,
Pretty quick. I'm also a gamer and I like to mod mice actually, which is quite a recent hobby that I found.
he's really good at it too.
Yeah, yeah, I've been spending a lot of time on that. All right, so let's go ahead and get started with our story of number one. Here we go. Oh, it's GameStop stocks. Have you guys heard about how crazy the GameStop stocks have been? Yeah.
Dude, I've
uh,
listened, man. There's people at the moon right now, and that's a thing for the small guys, For sure, a good thing for the small guys.
For me, it's just like just watching it. It was one of those things that it's just like I was a little too late to the party, so I'm just supporting everybody in the background that's in it right now. I mean, like, good luck to you. I've read a whole bunch of different things of like success stories of them coming out. A lot of people have been paying their student loans.
Yeah.
They've been getting houses with it, paying off medical bills. Like it's
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 getting to a point where it's getting really, really insane.
Yeah, it's insane. The whole thing, I mean, if I my personal experience was I actually got into AMC and I've been into AMC like when it was at like $2. But I was actually talking about the whole stock thing with a friend of mine and it was at $30 like I think maybe like 7 days ago or something crazy like that. And then next thing you know, like the whole Wall Street bets thing happened and next thing you know people were looking at like 200 $300 and then the memes. I mean, the memes were legit perfection. Like people coming up with the stonks memes, the memes of the like people going into GameStop with hold the line. Like it was absolute pandemonium. Like it was one of the craziest things I think we've experienced just to see how like, our generation essentially could come together and do something like that and then have a bunch of people going like, "Yo, what? This is the most insane thing I've seen." So,
Especially,
it's
yeah,
pretty
like what you
crazy.
said, people coming together and actually, because that's what I was afraid of at first whenever I was first reading it, is like, somebody, it always takes just a few people, or it always takes one person to ruin something. But I know there's a lot of people out there that see that number, it goes up and they're like, okay, I'm gonna pull out,
Yeah.
and then they save themselves. So the
Never pull
fact that,
out.
yeah, there's a
Don't
whole
pull
bunch
out.
of people, the fact that there's a whole bunch of people that that everybody's able to say like, hey, hold this and let's show them, like, let's show what the little guys can
The
do.
hedge funders, yeah, the hedge
Yeah,
funders.
it's like it's insane.
Yeah.
So just in case the people watching, all the thousands of people watching right now don't know, I'm going to read a few tidbits from an article over at protocol.com. Hopefully give you some insight. So it says, quote, the 6 million subscribers to the subreddit Wall Street Bets have long had marketing power, and members have been pushing GameStop as a stock to invest in for almost 2 years. Actually, based on what was seemed fairly straightforward financial reasoning. But the volume has gone crazy in the last few weeks, and the recent spikes seem to come from something simpler. The Wall Street Bets investor just deciding to do it. A few enterprising investors decided to try to punish those who were shorting the then still cheap stock because what you always need on the internet is an enemy. That initial enemy was Andrew Left of Citron Research, who was loud and large better against GameStop, squeezing him, forcing him to buy more shares to cover his short position as the price went up, which then by itself would drive up the price, became number one goal for Wall Street Bet members. So, Alan, I know you're a little bit more educated on
Yeah.
the whole stock thing. Can you give like a simple breakdown of what exactly is happening with the GameStop stocks?
Okay, so basically, what happened is a short squeeze essentially. So you got these hedge funders, and I forgot the name you just said, but basically, what these guys do is they basically bet on a stock, like a company failing. So, like obviously, GameStop, and I mean, I guess we'll talk about this later also, but basically, you bank on GameStop failing, so you'll put all this money into GameStop, and then hoping that the short sellers, you have full control of that, essentially that stock. So what ends up happening is when you have a bunch of people buying it at a very low price, I mean, like I said, maybe $30 or whatever the case may be, and if they hold on to that stock and continue to buy it, when it drives the price up. So now the hedge funders essentially have to look at, like, they have their losses they can't cover because they bought their stock at such a low price. So
Mhm.
some of those guys were buying the stock at $8 or essentially something like that, and then selling it at the same price. The problem is now that it's $300, but I think it's lower now, but now that it's way above that price range, you can't buy that stock back at 300. You end up losing money. So some of these hedge funders literally went bankrupt because they had all this money on this stock, and they end up losing that money and not being able to get the price back at that short price that they were essentially buying it for. So you had a bunch of hedge funders who ended up losing their companies because they lost like $3 billion because they had pretty much the majority of the stock at that price, but now can't buy it back because it's way too high.
Mm.
So that's essentially what happens in a kind of short, abbreviated version of that.
Well, the
So,
next like,
yeah,
oh, sorry,
go ahead. No.
because I've been seeing like a lot of people are worried about because at some point, what comes up must come down.
Hmm.
Uh, like, what do you
Which it
think?
has been already.
What's that?
I said it has been actually.
Yeah,
So, but yeah.
is it like a slow like decline,
It was like a
basically?
I
hundred,
mean, it went
wasn't
about
it?
like, yeah, it went like down $100 there.
That's a
So
lot.
what when it hit? Like, what do you think? Do you think people will continue to hold, or do you think at some point it's going to hit a point where everybody's like, "All right, I'm pulling," and then
I
like
feel
it's
like
crazy?
I feel like it's gonna. I mean, at some point, people are going to take. I mean, people have already been pulling, like you said earlier, where people were kind of like, paying off student loans, and at some point, people are going to pull. I think more of this was also just to send that message of basically like, economy and how that works and how people can manipulate it and stuff like that. So now that people are actually, the little guys are like paying for, school loans and paying for, like, I read a story where a kid was literally used everything he had that he made from it to buy kids, like sick kids, games and stuff like that. So he
The
bought them like
switches,
a bunch
right?
of switches. Yeah, he bought them a
That's
bunch of
awful,
Yeah.
man.
switches and stuff like that. So you got like people, who are going to pull out eventually. But I think more now, I think also the good thing about it is it got a lot of people into the stock market because a lot of people were kind of like, yo, look at this, like this thing is kind of crazy. So it's actually like a good thing to know what money, like how you could invest your money in a certain way. I just don't want like new investors to be like, this is the way it's always going to be, because this is like a once in a lifetime, like this does not happen. Like it's not something that's like where enough people band together to where you could legit affect the stock. So I'm more curious to know if you guys what do you guys think the lasting effect on GameStop itself would be? Because I know all of us in here kind of had like our issues and our likes and dislikes for
I mean,
GameStop. I'm
not
kind
just
of interested to see what everyone thinks about that.
not just us. I mean, like I think GameStop is one of the like at least for gamers, it's one of the most hated like
Yeah.
places, right?
Mhm.
And the only reason why I went into GameStop for so long and ended up working for them at some point is just
That was my
it's the
first job.
atmosphere. Yeah, it was my like
Yeah.
one of my first jobs too,
Yeah, me neither.
and it's the atmosphere. Man, you go there like it's kind of like it's like a comic book shop. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Where am I gonna go where I have like-minded people that like the same stuff I do?
Mhm.
GameStop. There's a guy in there. most likely that they're obviously like video games, unless you get the
Yeah.
occasional mom that's just like,
So I
my
have a
kid wants
question.
this. So
I have a question for both of you guys since you said you both worked at GameStop. When someone came in to trade in a game for like
Oh,
you knew was worth more than you were giving them, how did that make you feel? Like say the brand new Madden came out and you're like, oh yeah, yeah, best I could do is 50 cents, man. If you,
bro,
listen.
how,
there was
how did you
times.
feel inside?
I'll let Alan go
Well,
first. Go ahead, Alan.
yeah. So here's the thing with that, right? Like, we get kind of like, I mean, I don't work there anymore and I have no affiliation with them. So it doesn't like, basically, you would tell people like you have a better chance at selling it off on eBay to get more of a profit because I would
Yeah.
tell people like that legit. Like you would come in and people would be like, "Yo, I want to trade this game in. I just bought it yesterday." And I'm like, "Listen, dude, you sell it to like someone outside of the store who for like 30 or 40 bucks opposed to selling it to the store because you're just going to get like 15 to 20 bucks on like a 60 to $50 game you just bought like literally yesterday because some of the games are like 8 hours or whatever the case
Hmm.
may be, or you just don't like it. Like, you know what I mean? And if the thing that I would always tell people at GameStop, even when you were buying games, was to buy it used because if you buy it used, you still have the 7-day return policy. But if you
Yeah.
buy it new, they would legit be like, you cannot trade it in or exchange it for something else. You can only get the same copy back. So I would tell customers like it's only $5 cheaper. We check the games, buy this. That way, if you beat it in a day, you could just return it. And I mean, a lot of people liked me for that. So actually, it actually helped the business that I was telling people that
Yeah.
instead of like telling like trying to get the because you GameStop doesn't even make money off of their new game sale. GameStop solely used to make money off of their used games, which is why they're kind of going towards out of business because digital has exploded. So
Hmm.
because digital exploded, it kind of did that. But I felt bad, which is why I would tell people that. So that was just me
For
personally.
me,
What
it
about you, Chris?
was yeah. For me, it's like I think one of the most annoying things too was yeah, when it came around the holidays and somebody came up, say like they couldn't wait. Like I'm an impatient person, right? So if I
Mhm.
buy, the brand new Call of Duty and then my wife decides like, oh, you know what? For Christmas, I'm gonna get them this Call of Duty game. I have two of them, right? A lot of people go into GameStop. They're like, can I trade this in? It's still wrapped. And their
Yeah,
policy is it's like as soon as you see it wrapped, they're like, hey man, I can't take it.
yeah.
Well, what if I open it in front of you? I still
The
can't take
value
it because
goes
I
down.
What?
saw
No,
yeah, I just saw
yeah.
it, like, I can't.
I
Hmm.
So
didn't
there
know
was a lot
that.
of times yeah, it's a lot of times that, like, a lot of people would come in, at least the GameStop that I was at, they had a camera up in the top right corner aiming straight at the cash register, obviously,
Yeah.
right? But they can also see your interaction with,
Hmm.
um, customers. So a lot of times some guys would come in and they're like, "Hey, I'm looking for" it's rare now, but it used to happen a lot where, specifically I remember me doing this in like school was I wanted Portal 2 and it was
Hmm.
sold out. And some
Yeah.
guy went in and he's like, "Hey, I beat it. I'm going to trade it in." Right. And he was going to get, I think it was like maybe at the
It's usually like
time.
half. Like
Yeah, it was
it's
half.
like a
And he's like,
less.
"What?" And I was like,
Yeah.
um, what was it? I forgot who I was with, or, I offered more. I was like,
Hmm.
"Hey, man, I'll just give you, I have the cash right here. I'll just pay you,
Yeah.
Oh, as an
and
employee?
not as an employee. No, no,
Oh,
no.
okay, okay, okay.
As
Gotcha.
like a person. So whenever that happened, it would just be like, "Hey guys, like if you're gonna do that, like step
Yeah.
outside or like
Outside
step
the
to the
store. Yeah.
corner over there,
Back to the
and
alley.
obviously do that. Make your money because
Yeah.
obviously we know we're
Dude,
gonna
no,
take it
you
from you.
So
So
to me,
legit.
it sounds like for me personally, the only reason I ever did trade-ins was for the convenience because I know that I could have got more money off of a game for sure,
Mhm.
but just knowing that I can just walk into a store and be like, here, I don't want this anymore. I know I'm not going to get as much, but I don't have to worry about posting it on Facebook Marketplace or whatever was out at that time because I don't think
It
OfferUp and
wasn't.
Mercari
I
weren't
mean,
there. But just the
Facebook
hassle of having
Marketplace
to
wasn't even.
post it, having the list, description, and you have these dumb people be like, "Oh, how much are you selling this for? Oh, will you take $6?" You know, I'd rather
yeah,
just
but
give it to somebody, lose money on it, and then just know I can just trade it in for something
exactly.
else.
And the idea used to be like, hey, you trade in a game, and it makes it easier for somebody that can't pay full price for a game to get that game later on, right? And then they, obviously business is business, and they take from it. The only takeaway I can say from GameStop becoming a GameStop employee is it was my favorite thing. Uh you could take any game in the store
Mhm.
home
Mhm.
for 3 days. There was a little booklet and you
Yeah.
could write it down. So my buddy wanted to play FIFA, I didn't have FIFA. I
Mhm.
could check it out for 3 days to gain knowledge on it,
Yeah.
right? And
Huh.
go play and then bring it back. So it
Yeah,
was basically a library of games. At the time, like GameFly was starting to come up, but I
that's
had
pretty
GameStop.
cool.
So it was just like, yeah. Just like,
So
oh, let me try it
that was
out.
one
And
of the
then
perks that you guys
yeah,
had.
I mean,
Mm.
to be honest, I'm surprised GameStop hasn't had like because demos have gone away. I'm surprised they haven't taken over like GameFly to like, hey, we'll send you out this game, borrow it for a little bit. If you like it, come buy it. So
Okay. So going off of the question that Alan actually had, as far as what do you think will happen? Obviously, for me, I think this is just like a bubble that's just waiting. I think GameStop just has its time in the spotlight, and then once all this dies down, which it will, because it already dropped. Was it
Yeah.
$100? You said per
Yeah. It's already
share
dropped.
or
Yeah.
whatever it was.
Yeah.
That's a pretty big drop. So I'm
Oh, huge.
assuming people are gonna start getting scared, be like, oh, if I don't start selling soon, this is all gonna be for nothing. I'm gonna lose a lot of money. So I think I give it till maybe the fall, and then GameStop won't be talked about anymore, and we'll see more stores closing because they did file for bankruptcy, correct?
Yes, they also had some weird thing where Microsoft kind of like is in a partnership with them to like open up new like have like as a new distribution like kind of thing. If you look it up, basically they did that right before the new consoles released, and they did like a distribution thing that they have with them. I don't know if that's going to save them personally. Kind of like harping on. I mean, I feel like GameStop is just doomed in the sense of, I mean, we're all digital now. Like I don't. I probably, I mean, within the last 2 years, might have bought the only physical copy I think I bought was Kingdom Hearts 3 so that I could just have it early. Like, and that was like legit the last, I think, physical copied game I bought.
I only
So,
buy games physical if they have a map because I like to
mm,
put them up on the walls. But other than
yeah.
that, I
for
think
me,
the
it's
last game I
Steelbooks.
bought was Steelbooks. Yeah, those are
Yeah,
cool too.
Steelbooks. I
But
love Steelbooks. Yeah.
GTA 5 on the Xbox, was it
Which
360, was the
generation?
last physical game, the first one, very first one. That's the last physical game that I bought. So how long ago was that?
8
GTA,
years ago.
was it? And it's
Yes,
still,
that
that
game
was,
has came out on 4 different consoles. Like,
and
it's
I
insane.
was one of those people. I was like against all digital and all that, but then once I started to see how convenient it was, I'm like, I don't
Oh
have to
my.
worry about taking discs out and put them in, having to worry about them getting scratched and all that. I've since converted 100%, and I refuse to buy physical anymore just because, just the upkeep, really,
Yeah.
making sure
But
your
And
disc isn't scratched or
spacing.
anything. Yeah.
before we end the topic, since we're on it already, we do have a question in the chat. Um, and it's from Peace Love Bree. It says, "What do you think is going to happen to franchises like GameStop, seeing that games are transitioning to a more digital download rather than offering physical copies?" So,
I,
I mean, it's already been like a huge. I feel like that's been happening a lot, especially during the quarantine.
mhm.
Not just with games, like the movies. HBO is taking a whole charge at the movie theaters right now, saying like, you know what? Hey, this is coming out in the movie theater, and if you have a subscription, we're gonna have it on the same day without any upcharge, like Disney Plus with Mulan, where they were like, hey, we're gonna charge you $30.
Which they
Um,
realized they messed up and didn't do it.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah.
So, what do you guys think?
Yeah, do you want this?
What was the question?
So, what do you think is going to happen to franchises like GameStop, seeing that games are transitioning to a more digital download rather than offering physical copies? And I will also say that I've heard rumors that GameStop might just become a digital store. Like that's where it's heading.
So
Is
just
that they're
a
just going to take it?
online storefront.
Yeah,
As,
like
as
they're like ThinkGeek also went online, and they're part of GameStop, and they're saying GameStop might be heading down that path.
I think GameStop is just going to be like one of those mom and pop shops that sells like really unique games, like Nintendo 64 games, stuff that you don't really see anymore, collector's items, stuff like that. Because, like I said, I think just digital is the future,
Yeah.
and it'd be kind of silly to think otherwise. It's just more convenient. It's convenient, easy. In some cases, it's cheaper. I mean, look at Steam. I
Oh,
since owning a PC, man, I have bought more games on Steam that I've owned in the last console generations. So and it's too easy to do it. You know,
Yeah.
with physical copies, you have to physically give money. Like, do I really want to do this? So,
it just
but with
hurts a
Steam,
little
it's
bit
just
more.
you're a click away. I'm like, oh, I didn't see it come out, so it's all good. You know.
Which makes it more dangerous. You know how I am with Valorant, where I'm like, yeah, I can get
Yeah,
that.
exactly. Yeah.
Steam
So.
is the
Oh,
most.
before we move on, there's also I don't know if you guys saw this, but Netflix is also in talks about making a movie based off of this
Yes,
GameStop. So,
Listen,
yeah,
give me Wolf of Wall Street 2
yeah.
GameStop
So
edition, and I'll watch it.
yeah, I've never finished
yeah,
that movie, by the way. It's too
Oh
long.
my god.
It was weird. It got really weird. It was long.
I mean, it's supposed to be. I love that movie. It's one of
Hmm.
it's up there. But the was what I was saying with the GameStop. Like, I agree with what Yendi said. The whole digital thing is just that is the evolution of gaming. I mean, we're even going to go deeper into that. I mean, like with Game Pass and cloud gaming in general, just being something that's going to be more is easier. I mean, I can play full game like games on my phone now, which 10 years ago we couldn't do that, and it wasn't even a thought of like to be able to do something like that. So the only thing that's really helping GameStop like survive are pops, which is why it's funny when Yendi was like, it's going to become a mom and pop shop, but like it's literally might just become a pop shop because like that's something that saves them, has been saving them like collectibles and like special thing because they don't even sell like 64 games anymore, which I wish they did because I still have mine. So
Yeah.
like so but I think that's what's going to happen with them. I think they'll slowly phase out because they're just can't grow. And I'm like, being a digital storefront, I don't feel really helps you in the market of games because, like I said earlier, they made most of their money, like percentage wise, off of used games because they relied on you selling that game that you bought for $60, them buying it for $20, and then them selling it for $54.99. So like I and now that that stopped, that's why the decline of GameStop has begun, is because they're not making money off of the key thing they used to be making money off of.
Okay. All right. Well,
I mean, you know who is making money though?
Nintendo. Oh,
Yeah,
that was a good
good
transition right there.
transition.
So
Good
nice.
transition.
Moving on
I
to
was
story number
expecting.
two.
I couldn't help myself.
Apparently, Nintendo has been making crazy amounts of money and didn't tell
Apparently,
anybody. So
bro.
this is from Christopher Dring over at GamesIndustry.biz. He says, "quote Nintendo Switch has eclipsed the lifetime sales of the 3DS in less than 4 years." Nintendo has said. The firm revealed in the last financial report that 79.87 million Switch devices have been shipped worldwide. The console is currently Nintendo's fifth best selling machine behind the Nintendo DS at 154 million, Nintendo Wii at 101.6 million, the Game Boy at 118.7 million, and the Game Boy Advance at 81.5 million. In terms of sell through, so in the hands of consumers, Switch sales are at around 74 million, Nintendo estimates. Later in the article, it goes on to say software sales reached 176.1 million units, a rise of 43% over the year before. That was driven by major sellers such as Animal Crossing New Horizons, which has shipped 31.18 million games since its first release in last year March. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe also managed 8.6 million units over the last 9 months, giving it a total sales of 33.4 million units.
Isn't
That's
sorry to interrupt real quick. Isn't Mario Kart considered one of the best? Isn't it the best top selling game right now?
I think it's
Isn't it still at the
Minecraft.
top of the
No,
list?
It
Is
might
it
be
Minecraft?
is
I
Minecraft or
don't
Tetris?
one of them.
I'll look it up.
Yeah.
Keep on. Yeah.
So Animal Crossing that's in 31 million since last March, and that's crazy when you think about that. Mario Kart came out what? How many
This
years?
is like
Was it a release
second
title?
iteration. This is like the third iteration. Mario Kart 8 wasn't even like an original. title. Like it was out on the Wii U, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, but
And
this
then
is
they made the
for
deluxe
just the
version.
Switch. So did Mario Kart 8? I guess the question is, did Mario Kart 8 come out with the console? Was it a console release? Because
I
if
believe
so, then the numbers for Animal Crossing are super impressive, and I know that's due to the
for
pandemic and all that. But yeah, those are some big numbers. But are you guys surprised at all by this?
so
Bro,
I'll
go
you
ahead.
want go ahead, Chris. You got it.
Okay. So with GameStop, right? Or sorry, not with GameStop, with Nintendo. Sorry. Um, it's been like we've seen them at their lowest lows. We've seen them take huge hits. So the fact that this is happening to them is just like it's heartwarming, you know? It's something that when Nintendo's in trouble, like everybody in the gaming community rallies up and tries to save that. That's one company that will always stay safe. All right. Even if it hits the bottom, people are going to be there to pick it up. They just know how to sell. They know how to sell their products. I mean, unfortunately, like with their online gameplay and stuff like that, they still have, they still have miles to go before they reach that. But the fact that, like, I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I have a Nintendo Switch, right? I don't play it as much as I want to. It sits in the living room. But whenever
Mhm.
I do play it, I'm on it for hours. I'm always having fun. I don't rage like I am on my other games like Call of Duty and all that stuff, right? And there's already a rumor of a Switch Pro coming out this year. And if they do that, it's gonna sell. I'm gonna buy it, and I don't even play a lot of Nintendo. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It's just one of those things, and especially with the whole whenever you talked about Animal Crossing, that was probably one of the best. Like, I mean, it sucks that COVID happened, but it was one of the best things to happen to Nintendo because there were so many people on that game. I was doing me and my wife and my friends would do FaceTimes and we're playing at night. We would all FaceTime each other, visit each other's islands. I would go on Twitch and I would see fishing tournaments of like, these pro players, these pro competitors in video games. They're all like running around an island trying to catch fish in this little game. So it's just a way they're just so good at bringing people together. I'm happy to see it skyrocket and hopefully they take the money and they're putting it into um I guess more of their not software. I mean, I guess they could just put it back into software because right now they run the indie industry right now. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? It's just like they love the indie games, and I think that's also bringing a point to they've helped bring those indie games out. More people are playing more indie games than the AAA games. So it's just kind of like if you're able to make a game at home, you have a chance. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And Nintendo's kind of helped open that door for them.
They've basically taken that over from Xbox. You guys remember when Xbox Live Arcade was the
Yeah, they
whole
try
thing?
to. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Basically just completely took away from them. And it's funny you say that because I'm the same way with my Switch. I last time I played it was maybe a year or two ago. Like I'll occasionally play. I think it's called 52 something. It's like 52 games, mini games.
Mhm.
Just a bunch of different things with
Oh, is
Avery
that the one that,
and
has like chess? It has
yeah, bowling, darts. It's a lot of fun.
yeah,
It's basically Wii Sports, but with a lot more games. Even though we only
yeah.
play like three, really. The rest are just random
Bro,
things from.
people still want a Wii Sports for the Switch.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. But I've considered selling my Switch, but I know that, like I said, Avery loves to use it, and so does Anna. She'll sit there and play Animal Crossing, which is which I find strange that she got into it. Oh, and Stardew Valley.
Oh
She's
yeah,
The
really
big one
she's
too.
completely
The big one.
completely addicted to that one. She
yeah,
surpassed me,
yeah.
but I'm like, how did you do that in such a short time? But I'm holding on to it for hopefully another Pokemon game. I was disappointed by Sword and Shield. I played every game in the series. Yep, I know. 32 years old, played
Nerd.
every
I mean,
one. I could tell you almost all 700 Pokemon, but
okay, I'm not
Nerd.
that far. Holy
my
crap! I didn't.
fingers are crossed that we get another Pokemon game before a new iteration of the Switch is announced. Which,
Well,
and speaking of the Switch Pro, do you guys think it'll have 4K, a 4K screen? Because that's part of the
I'm
rumor.
kind of hoping. So I don't know if. So the rumor is that it's going to be its own console. There was also rumors that it's going to be a dock, like it's just going to be an enhanced dock station. which I would like because the docking station that they came out with was a little flawed because I had I got my Switch day one, and that following week there was an article saying, "Hey, Switches are overheating, and then this is the hack to do it." And you would have to flip your dock sideways, so whenever your Switch is inside, the heat would fall out. It would help
Yeah.
bring the heat out. So I think they just need to, if they do it, they need to take the moment to reinvent that docking station and make sure that it's not only for the Switch Pro, because they have a habit of, hey, like we came out with this thing and we're gonna forget about the past generations because that's just what Nintendo does.
Mhm.
Um, but on the Pokemon side, I mean, this year I think we're gonna have a lot of different games for Nintendo coming. There is rumors that they are trying to redo, I think it's Gold and Silver, as like the newest Pokemon that we have now, where it's just like free roaming, you're running around and stuff like that. So they want to update that, and then they have Pokemon Snap because I think this year is the anniversary of one of them. I don't follow Pokemon as much. Pokemon Snap I've been following for forever. That's been my game. I still have it on my 64. Uh, and then they also have Legend of Zelda anniversary this year also, and those rumors have been that they're going to have a Legend of Zelda 3D All Stars, kind of
Arena.
like the Mario
Mhm.
All Stars. So,
Oh, and the new Wind Waker 2 is supposed to come out.
oh yeah, yeah, that's
Yeah,
another one.
that's
Wind
gonna be
Waker is my
a
favorite
system
Zelda.
seller. I never finished it,
Yeah.
sadly. So it's still there, but yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean Nintendo is just, Nintendo. I mean, the best thing about Nintendo is they have their title games, and they're one what they have their title games that everybody knows, and it's so generational that it's like we've got our titles, like we got our Mario, we got our Metroid, which we need, by the way, Nintendo.
Yeah.
Like, they've got they've got Smash Brothers, they've got, all these titles that essentially that's what keeps Nintendo. And the a kind of a beneficial for Nintendo is that they have to do great because they're just a gaming company, as where Microsoft and Sony, they have things to fall back on. So like
Yeah.
Nintendo's games and like the quality of what they do, they have to sell it well. If they don't, then they can't fall back on anything, which is great with the I mean, it's great and bad because like if we and like you said earlier, is like we don't want Nintendo to fall out because that's a lot of people's like thing. Like everyone loves Mario, but I mean, just quarantine definitely helped those sales. But I mean, people are going to buy Animal Crossing regardless because when was the last one we got? Like 7 6 7 years ago, because
It was
Nintendo
on the
just
3DS, yeah.
yeah, it was
New
like
Leaf.
4 or 5 years ago. Yeah, so what Nintendo just does a good job at is we can only play Animal Crossing on their system. So essentially, all of their games that come out are system sellers, which is what I feel Xbox has the biggest issue with, is because they don't have marquee gaming like things that I mean, besides Halo, it's like that's
Yeah,
it.
they dropped the
And I
ball as
mean,
soon as they said
yeah.
Halo Infinite wasn't coming out for the new
So then, I
Xbox.
mean,
It was
Sony has all of
crazy.
their titles like the mature base now because you got Last of Us, you've got God of War, you've got all these games, but Nintendo just has such a good crop of games, and they also have great party games. I mean, you can play Mario Party, you can play Smash Brothers, you can play Mario Kart, you can play, like you said, Animal Crossing. Like people were having talk shows inside of Animal Crossing, like
Yeah.
legit doing things like that. Like so, it has that fun, that feeling like a kid factor again. Like I don't know anyone who has uh, you know, angry while they're playing casually, just playing some Switch games, unless you're playing Smash Brothers where I get upset, but that's just me. You know what I mean? But besides that, like there's no games that really get people upset. You just play your Switch, you have a good time. You can play it wherever. Like you can go outside, play it in on, at a park or whatever the case may be, and just enjoy it. And then you got great, like you said, the indie games are just great because Hades was amazing on Switch.
Oh,
So
beautiful game.
like so then you got games like that that you can play, and the Switch is just convenient. It's just such a good like. It's not taking. You're not clogging up a TV also, which during a quarantine where you weren't prepared for. Like if you could just get your kids a Switch and they can just play around with that for 5 hours where they're not hogging the TV for you to go play, play something yourself or watch sports or whatever the case may be. So it's just the perfect console for like it had the perfect timing of this, and it's the perfect console for a quarantine. Like it's insane to me.
I have another question for you guys. Since we're on Nintendo, how long do you think they can keep writing on the same old IPs? Because for the longest time, I've always said Nintendo needs new IPs. Like Mario's great. I personally don't care for it anymore. It's the same thing over and over. Granted, I haven't played a Mario since probably Sunshine, which I liked actually.
Right.
I was one of those people that actually liked Sunshine.
I love
Surprised,
Sunshine. Sunshine's
but
great.
I think they need to think of something completely new because Mario. What else they got?
Taking a thing.
Mario Kart. There's always Mario Kart. You know, it's the same thing. It's all the same thing.
That's the
And I guess the
thing.
same thing can be said about Microsoft and Sony. Sony not so much because their stuff is good. You know, every single one. You know, all story based. But I feel like Nintendo's just rehashing. Just keep
Well,
going until you guys stop buying. Like, how long
I'm
do you
gonna
guys
give you
think
this.
they can keep doing it?
I'm gonna give you this. All right. I'm gonna jump in Alan's boat because me and him, I feel like are gonna have the same
Uh,
idea. Okay. If it ain't broke, do not fix it. All right. If you have Super Smash, right? We have Super Smash. What other like PlayStation? What was their game?
PlayStation Battle Royale.
Or
All
something
Stars, PlayStation All
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 Stars.
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 Yeah,
Yeah.
right. They take it because they know it's successful, right? You have Mario Kart. We had Jack X Racing or any other racing game that they
That
tried to make
Crash.
copy Crash Racing. They tried to they tried to copy that because they know it works.
Right.
Nintendo, it's just one of those things where as soon as because you say that now, I don't change the IP, blah blah blah. If they came out with a new system and they said, and no, you didn't get a Super Smash, you didn't get a Mario Kart, you didn't get a Mario game, everybody's gonna ask, well, then when are the old ones coming back? Or when are we gonna get HD versions of these old ones? Like everybody just loves that's what Nintendo is. Everybody just loves those games. I think the Switch also is going to be around for a really long time. They have so much opportunity to make so much money from it. Everybody's always telling them take your GameCube library, right? And just port it all the way over to Switch and people will buy it. It's going to sell. They have so much in their hands and there's so much that people want them to do and they do such a good job at holding on to it. But also they also have a huge I don't know the word for it. Um I get like they just don't like to give away. I know one of the executives said that whenever you want to play an old game, like for instance Pikmin or something like that, something the first Pikmin on GameCube. If you wanted to play it, then you should have a GameCube already, plug it up, go play it and
That's
enjoy
true.
it. They are
Don't.
always they have a mindset of like we're always going to move forward even though their whole community is saying if you put this on my Switch, I'm going to buy it again. And they just don't want to do that. So it's kind of weird. They play a weird game with everybody. But for IP reasons, I think they're on the right path. I mean, I want to see a little bit more Luigi. Give me more Luigi's Mansion because I love Luigi the most. But other
I,
than that,
I guess my question is more: when is it that we're going to see new IP, not the
new
same
ones. Okay.
old? Yeah, because how long can you milk Mario? How long can you milk Zelda? Obviously, if you grew up in Nintendo, you're going to love it probably for the rest of your life. But what I've noticed, like I said, I was a lifelong Pokemon fan since I first played it when I was 10 till now, right? But then just within the last release, Sword and Shield, I started to realize it's just the same old thing, same mechanics. They just added new sprites in place. The stats are just switched around, and I kind of just I didn't feel like playing it anymore. And I got to the same point with Mario. I got to the same point with Zelda. It's just I want new characters. I want new worlds. I want to experience something brand new. I don't be like, oh, I remember that character from this game, or
Well, that's
even
the
with
other thing.
yeah,
Does your kid play those games? Does
not
she play
really. Like
Pokemon or Mario?
she only recently started like really comprehending what she's reading,
Yeah.
but as soon as she does, I know that that'll rekindle my love again for Pokemon because it happens every few years. It
Yeah, you got to
does.
see it through
I
the
fall
kid's
out,
eye.
I get burnt out, and then I'm
Yeah.
like, I want to play again. But I wish that new IPs would come out, like Yokai Watch, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
I was kind of excited for that. Never played it, and I mean, I guess that's on me, but I want more new stuff. More. I don't want to keep seeing Final Fantasy. I don't want to keep seeing
I
Mario. Yeah, you. I mean, it's not my type of game, obviously,
yeah.
but just give me something new. So yeah, same question for you, Ellen. How long do you think Nintendo can keep going, selling like crazy with the same IPs, and at what point will they have to be like, okay, we have to think of something new?
So I think they kind of proved it to us, like they're proving to us every time we wonder, is Nintendo ever going to go down? I just feel like they can do this for as long as they keep releasing these games, because the gamer inside most people, because I believe, and this is like personal opinion, I think you're in the minority
Oh
of
yeah,
that
I agree.
belief.
I
Like,
agree.
you know what I mean? I mean, think about it. You're currently wearing a Zelda shirt. So
Right.
like, you know what I mean? So like it's just that mindset of like, if there's a new Zelda, we're going to play it. Like, and it's what benefits Nintendo the most is, like I said, their games. We know Nintendo because of those games. And I feel like other companies are trying to actually do what Nintendo does. I
Hmm.
just think what Sony did essentially is that they geared their games more towards us, like more towards your aging, more towards your mature content. Because, like, for instance, you can't tell your kid, hey, go play God of War. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just not something you can be like, hey, go do it. Even though, like, God of War has sold an amazing amount and all that stuff, at the end of the day, that market that they're in is such a great market because they appeal to us even as adults and wanting party game style things, but they also appeal so well to kids, which is why you can have games like Splatoon and you can have games like Pikmin, which is newer IP, but like the kids will still love it. And then guess what? We're going to have a Splatoon character in Smash Brothers because we know you're going to get that game and we know you want to see those characters in these games, so they can continue to do this because that's just what Nintendo has continued to do. I don't think we're always going to want another Zelda. We're always going to want another Pokemon. We're always going to want those games. Like, even though you had a bad experience with Sword, it doesn't change the fact that if the new one comes out, you're still going to get it. Like, it won't, it doesn't break your love, like, until unless they make like a complete disaster game, which they have made complete disaster Zeldas, and people still come back to play them because then you get a Breath of the Wild where it's just like, oh well, this is why I love Zelda, like, you know what I mean. And some people didn't like Breath of the Wild, but then you get, you have your Ocarina of Times. Like, there's so many people who enjoy so many different games from Nintendo that are legit in the same IP, that I feel like they can do this for however long they want, because I feel like other companies are also inspiring to make long title games. So, like, for instance, Sony, God of War, we're about to be on God of War 5 at this point. Like, you know what I mean? Horizon Zero Dawn is going to have a second game. Last of Us 2 already had a second game. And people don't want, to stop those IPs because it's kind of the same way with TV shows. Like, you don't want it to actually stop. Like, how many shows have we gotten upset to where we're
Well,
like, I don't want this stop, but
I think the
that's
difference
the content.
between Nintendo and Sony and Microsoft is that Nintendo's IP are way older. Like Horizon Zero
Mhm.
Dawn is new. That was what
It's a newer,
2018.
yeah. Actually, yeah.
God of War is not that old.
I
Well,
mean, it was PlayStation 2.
yeah, but Nintendo has definitely has the longest running
No, yeah.
IPs. Period.
Well, then you
Eh,
also have the argument with Nintendo is that they strive they're for kids, right? So in all, like they're gonna have that argument of like, like people like us where we've grew up with those games, and they can come out and say like, well, this game isn't for you. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? It's for the generation that's younger than you playing it, because they even then, I mean, we saw it with Crash Bandicoot. Games were a lot harder then. I recently
Oh,
tried to play
dude.
the first Crash. Impossible. All right. And if I gave it to a kid, because also right now, attention spans,
yeah.
Yeah.
they make it easier. I even played Mario Odyssey, and they hand you the star. They're like, here you go, explore this world, have fun, and they give you a little bit of challenges, and they ramp it up. And I just had that's when I caught that feeling of like when playing Mario Odyssey. I was like, oh man, this is kind of little bit easier, and that's when I realized I'm like, oh well, this isn't really for me. This
Geared
is
towards
for
you,
like
yeah.
I can go give it to my little cousin or something like that, and he could play for hours and just enjoy it. And it's just like that's what I was saying. If your kid played it, because you at this point, unless I mean they're always going to keep Legend of Zelda kind of tough. I feel like that just kind of comes with the brand. But for
Mm.
Mario and stuff like that, I think it's just one of those moments where you're gonna have to live through your kid's eyes and see it that way, and you'd enjoy it again. It's just kind of one of those things that they're just going to continue going because they want to keep it going. It's just he's the mascot of
Mhm.
of
Right.
Nintendo. You
Yeah.
can't get rid of your mascot. So
Any other Nintendo related questions before we move on?
No, I'm
No?
good.
All right. So then moving on to story number 3. Let's talk about some upcoming Netflix shows. So apparently, Netflix is currently working on a few animated shows for its service. A few of those include Sonic, Tomb Raider, and Skull Island. This is from The Verge. Forgot the name of the author. Sorry about that. Quote, Netflix announced the title of its new Sonic the Hedgehog animated series, Sonic Prime. The 24 episode series is aimed at kids, families, and longtime fans. Netflix said in a news release. The fate of a strange new multiverse rests in Sonic's gloved hands, Netflix said. Sonic's Adventures is about more than a race to save the universe. It's a journey of self discovery and redemption. Either one of you excited for Sonic show?
so I used to watch the Sonic show that was on. I think it was on like what was it? WB Kids WB something like
Yeah,
that, right?
yeah.
Yeah,
Sonic
and
XD.
that one was a little bit more. If you go back, there's a lot of adult jokes in it, so it's kind of
Yeah.
funny. Um, I the reason why, because looking through these shows, I've noticed a lot of them are becoming animated, and I feel like to keep up with the whole Disney Plus thing and HBO and all that, I feel like I don't know, man. I feel like the animated route, they're gonna oversaturate it because I think Sonic's perfect, right? It's gonna be a fun show, great animation. Skull Island, okay. Tomb Raider, okay. You know what I mean? It's just one of those things where I'm hoping they're not just going for, I mean, it's business. They're going to go for the cash grab, but I'm hoping that it keeps it, that people want more of that story. Like whenever kids are introduced to Skull Island, that they're like, oh my God, I want to know everything about King Kong. And they go into that like rabbit hole. You know what I
Mhm.
mean?
So you excited
So
for Sonic?
I
Are
am
you gonna
excited
watch
for,
it?
I'm going to give it a chance. I always give everything a chance. It's gonna be one of those shows, man. I'm gonna watch a few episodes to give it my support and get my thoughts on it, and that's about it. But I know, like I said with Nintendo, the show is not for me.
Mhm.
So,
Right.
um, plus I'm a Shadow character, or a Shadow character. I'm a Shadow fan, and if Shadow's in the show and he's coming up to Sonic and pats him on the back, I'm turning it off.
Alan, what do you think?
Listen, I'm here for anything that was my child becoming more relevant. So I don't know if you guys watched the Sonic movie. I did, and I
That's
loved
on my
it
list.
every second of it. I watched it like 4 times, and it's a great like I enjoy when they do like I mean most people know. If you don't know, I love like comic books, video games, and like movies are also one of my things. So like just being able to like know things that I read or like watched or played as as a kid, being like in the forefront of content now makes me excited. So like even if I don't like the show, but having a Skull Island show, just because like growing up King Kong and play like just knowing Kong and knowing that backstory and stuff like that makes me excited because I do there's so much story to be told there like that we don't get in those small sections of some movies that kind of like, and I think the newest King Kong did a really good job at actually showing the island with it in itself because most King Kong movies weren't even doing that. So like I think it's I appreciate it. I love having a Tomb Raider show because the newest Tomb Raider games were phenomenal. If you haven't played those already, those are like really good. The last trilogy that they came out with have been like really spectacular games. And I think Laura Croft is such a great character also that you can explore in so many ways. Cause I mean, it essentially you're having a character who can just, you know, explore as many tombs as possible. Like she can always be searching for an artifact. There's always content there to provide for her. And then Sonic, like again, you have your kids who are gonna love Sonic. I mean, I think also because the movie did so well that this kind of um gave gave them a incentive to make this TV show also because like people are like, oh, we actually do want to see more of this character and more of these things. So seeing those kind of content and getting these kind of shows makes me happy. I mean, I hope it, and obviously I want them all to succeed because I just want more of them. So
As far as for me, honestly, I could care less that they're animated. I'd rather have live action, stuff. But if I had to pick one that I'm excited for, it's actually that Tomb Raider because of
Mhm.
my love for Indiana Jones, as you can see, and
Mhm.
Uncharted. Being able
Yes.
to play the Tomb Raider games gets me the closest I will be to another Uncharted. Like I get so giddy knowing that I can go be Laura Croft and go through these dungeons and stuff, and I get super excited. It's one of the only games that I can actually get lost in, and I take my time in the world. There's not many of those for me personally, but
Treasure Hunter.
Uncharted, Treasure, yeah, just Treasure Hunter, the whole genre. But I kind of wished it was a live action instead of animated. I feel like animated is just like,
That's what I'm saying. Like Skull Island, I can see being animated. Sonic, of
yeah,
course, being animated. Tomb Raider, I don't know if you saw the newest movie of where it was taking place, or it was kind of following the newer games.
It was
That
decent.
movie was, I loved it
It
a
was a good
lot,
movie.
and it
I
kind
have.
of went
Uh
unnoticed.
yeah.
Um, I mean, we got the Uncharted movie. I think it comes out this year. I don't remember
I
Yeah.
for
think it got
It
sure.
got
delayed. I
Did
yeah.
think
it?
they lost
It
a
Okay.
got
director
Mr.
again.
Tom Holland.
Yeah,
Well, yeah, with Tom Holland and is it confirmed that Mark Wahlberg is Sully?
Sully.
I don't yeah.
That's
I
sidetracked.
don't think it is, but
But just so people know, the Tomb Raider anime will not tie in with the movie from 2018, which I think was the last one, the one with
yeah.
Alicia Vikander.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, so it'll actually be the story of the recent game trilogy. It will be following the Shadow of the Tomb Raider the same
Hmm.
year. So
Great game.
so yeah. Where are we at here? Any other Netflix shows that we should know about? Do you guys?
I know that one was kind of
I
a
mean,
shorter topic.
there's so many good shows,
There's
but
also a Witcher, right? Witcher animated.
y-
I just feel like
They're
they
making
are
the
going to
so.
do a
animated?
Witcher.
Yeah, the
Yes,
same guy who's
because they're doing
working
a
on.
prequel.
Is it Sonic? I think the same guy.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Why?
So
Why
It's
do
yeah,
going to
an
be the
anime?
prequel. It's prequel.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay. All right.
it's
But they're
not
still continuing the
finished.
live action show, right?
Yes, yes. It's just Henry Cavill got hurt shooting because he does his own stuff. Well, he coincidentally got hurt around the same time Shadowlands got came out. So and he's also a huge World of Warcraft player.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm gonna have to ask Henry if he's really
huh.
hurt, but I doubt it. I
That's
think he just
crazy to
went to
me.
go play WoW.
All right, well, let's move on because we got two pretty big stories coming up, which I'm sure we'll talk a lot about.
Hmm.
Story number 4 is Google is shutting down the Stadia internal studio. Is anybody surprised? Is anybody surprised
Man,
that Google is shutting down
no.
something? Okay,
Stadia.
so let me let
Stop.
me read let me read a little bit here from Steven Totillo over at Kotaku. Quote, one games industry told Kotaku that Google was canceling multiple projects, basically any game slated for release beyond a specific 2021 window, though they believe games to be close to release would still come out. Today brings some clarification. Google will close its two game studios located in Montreal and Los Angeles. Neither had released any games yet. That closure will impact around 150 developers, one source familiar with Stadia operations said. The company says it will try to find those developers new roles at Google. The article goes on to say, quote, the company plans to begin offering its Stadia tech to publishers, opening up the possibility for Stadia to become the streaming tech for other video game companies. Google's head of Stadia operations, longtime console executive Phil Harrison, will focus on pursuing these new partnerships. We see an important opportunity to work with partners seeking a gaming solution all built on Stadia's advanced technical infrastructure and platform tools. Harrison wrote in a blog post today, we believe this is the best path to building Stadia into a long term, sustainable business that helps grow the industry. Chris, any thoughts on this closing?
So with Stadia, man, okay, it's. I mean, yeah, like you said, are we surprised? I'm not surprised. Okay, when they announced Stadia, I loved the idea. It was a cool idea, but I knew it wasn't going to work out. I think what brought people in was the whole. I don't know if you guys saw whenever they first announced Stadia, but they had licensed a little showcase. They put a little cell phone there. They put the TV on there. They put a computer there, and they kept going. And then they were like, you should be able to take this game and go to this, and it shows up on your phone, and then it shows up on the TV, and then it shows up on your computer, and you just start at the same spot, right? And continue on. I was like, that's a crazy idea. That's awesome. But whenever they come up with all these promises, and like the I know Stadia had a struggle launch. Like it wasn't a good launch when it first came out, right? They promised so much and they probably put so much on those like developers that it's always a crash and burn whenever like there's a lot of companies that try to want to get into the gaming industry. They're like, we can make our own console, we can do our own thing. But they don't walk, they immediately sprint and try to get it going. Same thing happened with the Google Glass. Got nowhere. Like,
Mhm.
you know what I mean? You have all these great ideas, work on them, take your time, don't rush it. Right. But that's that. I'm kind of upset about that studio closing down because I can't remember the name of the game, but there was a game specifically that they were working on, and I'm pretty sure it's canceled and we're not going to see it unless some other, I mean, Microsoft wants to come up and pick them up and say, hey, finish this game, we'll pay you for it. But with Stadia, I don't have much on them. I didn't buy one because it
Yeah.
wasn't trustworthy. I didn't see my money, like it wasn't a thing that would benefit me, or a lot of the stuff I have now already does the thing that they're claiming their Stadia can do.
So just to clarify to those watching, Stadia itself is still happening. It's still going on. It's just Google's own internal studio, first party studio, or actually two of them, are closing down. And speaking of this, I actually did a Google Stadia explain video along. Oh, my Google Home heard me.
Mhm.
uh,
Playing stadium videos on YouTube on a cooking display.
You talking crap?
anyways, I made a Google Stadia explain video on my YouTube, but even though I did that, I knew right away that Stadia was not going to be successful just because of the internet capabilities at that time. Nobody has great internet to do everything that they promised. What they should have done is release Google Stadia as a beta first, right, and not charge $130 to get a controller and a Chromecast. And did you guys know that the newest Chromecast still do not support Google Stadia? I
Mhm.
mean, from the get go, for me, it was always doomed. That's it. Like it was never going to go anywhere. But now they're moving. It seems like they're trying to take the business from games to more of like production. Give it to studios to use. Hey, use this platform to make our games. So, Alan, what do you think about the studio closing and Stadia in general?
So, Yendi, I don't know if you remember this. Remember when it was announced we were working together and we both were like, there's no way that this is going to succeed because it was, and the idea of cloud gaming, which I mean, I know I've talked your guys' ears off about it, but I love the idea of cloud gaming. And I think it's a great idea. And I think Google was really onto something on what they wanted to do. Their biggest issue that they did was two things. The price point was a major issue of like saying that you needed a controller, but the way that you have to subscribe to get games was also the other issue. So like get you could be subscribed to essentially their premium and then still have to pay for certain other games. So like it was just a flawed way of doing that, especially when I was already part of the Xbox Game Cloud beta. So like I was one of the testers for that, and I was already doing what Google was saying they were going to do at so much of a better way of doing it because Game Pass essentially gives you your games, the whole library that you can play on mobile. And I mean, even Nvidia now does a better job at it, but all of these cloud gaming companies were already doing these kind of things. And then my thing with Google is, as much as we love Google, Google really fails at pretty much everything they do besides the search engine. Like we legit like we give Google all this credit like for being a great search engine and obviously like home and stuff like that. But anything that they've ventured out of besides those things has failed. Like their phones haven't been great, even though they're getting better, but like it's not like anything that wowed anybody. Like they haven't actually came out with anything innovative besides like Chromecast and the search engine. Like, and then besides that, everything else, like you said, Google Glass failed, like Stadia's failing. And like it sucks because you want more people to have access to games, which I think is like what the idea behind it was amazing. Is like, hey guys, like you can play these games for anywhere, but you can't put too many paywalls behind that because you're just going to kill your market when GameStop is like not GameStop, when Xbox is like, hey, for $14.99 you can play on xCloud. Like you can play on your phone, you can play on your computer, you can play on your Xbox, and we're not charging you for any of the first party title games that we have. So like when Halo comes out, you can legit play Halo on your, you can play Gears of War 5 on your phone right now. Like, you know what I mean? Like you can play soccer games. And then like we were talking about earlier with the indie games, there's so many indie games that you can play on your phone that you just have to connect a controller or Bluetooth that way. And you're not paying behind of getting a Stadia controller, getting a Stadia subscription. So I think, I knew it was going to fail just because from when they marketed that price point and stuff like that, that was just doomed at from the beginning. And I feel we will see more of the like the studios are gonna closing is just the beginning, and then we're gonna see like more. So it would be nice if they go to a push like say, hey guys, do this. But I mean, realistically, if you ask people now, they're gonna be like, well, I can just go to X and Microsoft, who's already into tech, into servers and stuff like that, to make my indie games or already into a gaming console, and then you could work a deal with that opposed to Google where you're probably going to like the likelihood of you doing well is going to be low.
And to touch on that real quick before we move on, it's kind of like I also think the industry kind of moves too fast for that, for them at least. All right, because Google kind of just came in and they're like, hey, we're trying to do games now. When the industry is already moving so quickly. Just the other day, I have a Sony TV and they have the Android app using. So if you have a smart TV right now, you can literally go in, type in Steam, right, and you can Steam link from your, as long as you have a PC or something like that, you can send your game straight to your television in the living room and play
For free.
that for free. Yeah, you buy your game and there you go. Boom, gone. It's right there. And it's
That's
just
the
like,
key right there.
yeah, and Stadia already, like Google's like, oh, we're doing all this great stuff. And then Xbox and Steam and all these companies were like, man, that's a great idea. Huh.
Well, I
Flip the
mean,
switch, let's make it free and let's get it out there. So, and then you have your competition. So I think this is the last year of it. The last time before this closing, the last time Stadia was relevant was only for the Cyberpunk launch. And because since Cyberpunk launched so poorly, everybody was like, well, it works great. All the Stadia users were like, it works great on Stadia. It's awesome on Stadia. Everybody loved it and it worked fine. And it was 4K, all this other stuff, blah, blah, blah. And that's the last time I heard of it. And after
Yeah.
that, that's probably going to be it. I mean, I'm sure they have the small fans of like, this is everything I want. But I'm guessing that genre of people or that group of people just don't play a lot of other video games to realize like they're kind of being ripped off. So
So I think where they screwed up was one, not releasing in beta to have the people test it, and then two, not having a subscription, a Netflix like subscription to the games, because now you have to own a Chromecast, right? That's your way in, or have a smart TV, and then you can either use your Google Pixel or buy one of their controllers. Um, and then on top of that, you have to buy games at full price, which I think is a big hit. If they were said instead, hey, you pay $20 a month and you can play this library right here anytime you want, anywhere, I probably would have signed up for it. But when I first heard about it, because I researched this a lot. Remember, I made that video on it. I knew way too much about Stadia. I thought, oh, it's going to be like Netflix. I'll pay a monthly service and I'll be able to play the new Assassin's Creed, which at the time was Odyssey, I think. I'm like, yes, I can't wait. And then I realized, no, I have to pay full price. Like, why would I pay $60 for a game I can only play on Stadia? Why not buy it on Steam instead? You know, it's like it doesn't make sense to me. Instead, I definitely think they should have gone the streaming service monthly subscription and then done a beta instead of full out release. And I know they were rushed probably financially to get it out.
Google
And
Rush.
quick, yeah, and quick side note: if you don't know, there's a website called Killed by Google, and it lists all the apps and programs that they have killed over the years. Trust me, I've used a lot
It's
of
a lot.
them. Like Google Inbox, I used it for years. They got rid of it. So many Google stuff that I wish they would have kept, but
I
day
tell
one,
you,
I heard them say we're introducing Stadia. I'm like, crap. This is gonna be one of those things that they're gonna do for like a month and they're gonna cut. And
yep,
it to me that's what it's looking like. I feel like it's going to go
bye bye.
by the end of the year. Maybe it won't even be talked about anymore.
'Cause it's
Or
already too late. They can't take it back.
but
So,
they also have a some kind of project that they haven't announced yet. I don't know what it's about. Who knows? Maybe it is a partnership with some studios to have a subscription. I think that would be nice, but I seriously
You
doubt
got
it.
Game Pass already.
Yeah,
they have to gain the trust again. They've lost so much. Man,
yeah.
It just
they have to
They
get
try to
it would
rush
be
it.
tough to launch the next project because they have to gain the trust of the consumers.
Yeah,
Like they don't have my trust right now. I'm not gonna buy it. Like, you know what I mean? You're gonna have to convince me. I'm gonna have to see a lot of reviews on this next product that you have to
yeah.
gain me
yeah.
back in.
What we wanted from Stadia is already available. And Game Pass had already started. Like
Your mic's
Yendi
cutting
said.
out, Alan. By the way.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah, there you
Like
go.
Huh?
yeah, like Yendi said, Game Pass did do a beta. Like XCloud did do a beta. They did all that stuff, so it was just perfect. So I
I
think that's
feel,
where they
also
are.
feel like you can't compare the two because they're different. XCloud is based on either your console being a server or Microsoft servers. They're not identical services. So in a way, yes, you can compare, but it's very broadly when
I
No,
you
no, I
talk
mean,
was
about.
saying what I was saying was because I what we got from what at least my understanding was Stadia was going to be what Game Pass currently, like, you know what I mean? But like you were going to be able to go like pay a subscription, which essentially that's what Xbox is. You're paying a subscription, you pay 14.99, and then you get to play xCloud anywhere. So on your tablet, on your thing, which is what I was hoping Google was going to be, but it ended up not being that.
Right.
So yes, I agree with you with saying that it's different, like because Stadia wasn't the way that we wanted it to be, but Game Pass is the way that I wanted Stadia to be, is what I basically.
Yes, I agree. I
I
Yeah.
agree
mean,
for sure.
but I know Alan loves Game Pass so much.
Oh,
Hey
love it.
man,
Praise
me
his
too. It
Xbox.
is
Love it.
best
But
value
Best
in
value
gaming.
in gaming, period.
Hands
No
down.
question asked. Like,
All right. All right. So
period.
let's go ahead and move on to our last story because we're about an hour in.
Mhm.
Story number 5. Let's talk about the Xbox Live Gold price blunders.
Yeah, Alan.
So you may have heard that
Yeah.
Microsoft attempted to raise the prices on their Xbox Live Gold services. Their intentions were to raise the 1-month price up to $10.99, which is a dollar increase, the 3-month to $29.99, a $5 increase, and the
Big
6
one.
year, the 6 month to $59.99, which is a $20 increase. That
Which is the
means
price you
that
pay
you
for a
would
year.
pay double the rate for 1 year. So 1 year is usually $60, but now you have to pay 120. It's like so almost immediately, this news sent the internet into a frenzy, and Microsoft got so much backlash that they decided to backtrack and said this quote, "We messed up today, and you were right to let us know. Connecting and playing with friends is a vital part of gaming, and we failed to meet the expectations of players who count on it every day. As a result, we have decided not to change Xbox Live Gold pricing. We're turning this moment into an opportunity to bring Xbox Live more in line with how we see the player at the center of their experience. For free to play games, you will no longer need an Xbox Live membership
The big one.
to play those games on Xbox. We are working hard to deliver this change as soon as possible in the coming months. If you are an Xbox Live Gold member already, you stay at your current price for renewal. New and existing members can continue to enjoy Xbox Live Gold for the same prices they pay today. In the US, it's $9.99 for 1 month, $24.99 for 3 months, and $39.99 for 6 months. Oh, and also $60 for the whole year. So obviously, they screwed up. I don't know what they were thinking here during a pandemic to raise double the price. Dumb. The only good thing I see coming out of this was that now free to play games don't require Xbox Live, which
But it hurts them.
what
Like it's
but
hurting
what
them.
I guess my question is, before we get to the price increase, why haven't they got rid of that restriction for free to play games? It's like they're alienating a lot of people that don't want to play on Xbox because they only play Fortnite or they only play Apex or whatever free to play game, but they have to pay an extra, what is it, monthly price just to play a free game. Meanwhile, PlayStation does it for
Yeah,
free.
for free.
So
And PC's free.
personally, I was shocked by the price increase. What about you, Chris?
For me, it took me all the way back to whenever they had their showcasing for the Xbox One.
Oh
They
yeah.
and I was kind of waiting. I was literally waiting all day for PlayStation to come out with a core, like some some video that says like something about PlayStation Plus or something like that. Microsoft, every once in a while, I mean, they're a great company, right? But every once in a while, they try to do something like this, and they are very fortunate to be able to say, "Hey, I like that." I'll give them props for that. They listen to the consumers. They say they are really upset. Let's take it back. We'll go back to the drawing board. We'll talk about that later, but let's give them something in replace also to fix this, right? And um, it's just always one of those things, man. I just want to know who like after the backlash, if the executives are like, who recommended that to us? Can you send them to the office real quick?
It had to have
and
been somebody
fire
on the
the guy.
Microsoft team. It
Yeah,
had to have
oh
been.
man, it had to like that guy's gone. He's not there. So I was shocked when I saw it, and I was kind of I was actually kind of worried. I've been kind of worried that ever since Microsoft has come out and said, "Hey, you're going to be able to play, Xbox games on your computer." I'm very excited for Halo Infinite, and I kind of thought that there was going to be news coming out saying like, "Hey, if you buy Halo Infinite on PC in order to play online, you will have to get Xbox Live." And I'm kind of hoping that they stay away from that.
Because you
But
don't
in
have
my
Game
head,
Pass, right?
no, I don't have Game Pass,
Right.
and it's just
Okay.
not one of those things like, a lot of people are just like, buy a PC. They always harp on the console players to have to get PlayStation Plus to play online or Xbox Live to play online. When for us on PC, you can buy Call of Duty and that's it, and you're online and you're playing, no
Mhm.
charge except for the game. So I kind of see it kind of going that way. Hopefully, this is them saying, "Hey, we should stop trying to charge all these gamers because they're definitely the community is gonna let you know that you messed up. They will not
Yeah.
back you, and you will lose money, even more money than what you were trying to gain."
So I
So
feel like the answer is obvious, but what do you think about the removing the restriction of having to have Xbox Live Gold for free to play games? Do you think obviously that's a good thing, or do you want to people to keep paying for
are you
free to
asking
play
me
games
or
online? Yeah, you. Yeah,
oh me?
Chris.
Um, for free games, I think it's great. I just kind of miss those days of like I'm sure there's kids out there right now that have they don't have Xbox Live right now. They play their games. Because I've met a lot of parents that just like I'm not letting my kid online. But I used to play like the little demo discs or whatever. Whenever I had a 360, there was free games. They gave you free games.
Yeah.
Whenever you were just a normal user, and they were just little arcade games, and it was just kind of fun seeing like, oh my gosh, I get this new game, and my dad or mom don't have to buy it for me. It's just there. It's just kind of like that feeling. So it's definitely going to be a great thing. and they're also helping the people that are making those small free games or the indie games or whatever they decide to put out. Uh, it kind of builds up to that's also like a way to give the consumer a treat, right? It's just like here's a little bit of something, but the next project we make, the next project that this company is going to make, we're going to pay for. And it just kind of gives them like a little bit of a trust of like, okay, I'm fully going to follow these guys. They made this game and I absolutely love it. And you go. So
Mm.
it's the same thing with Fortnite. If anytime Epic will make if they ever come out with another battle royale, you already know everybody on the internet is going to jump straight to it because they gave them a free one, and they can definitely come out with another one and say, "Hey, this one's $20," and people are going to buy it because it's Epic, and they're like, "Okay, I'm full on in because I know they made this great game that lasted for so long, and they're making this next one."
Right. Alan, what do you think about the price increase? And then what do you think about removing the Xbox Live restriction for free to play games?
So, I mean, that was just one of the like I don't know what they were thinking. Actually, I do know what they were thinking. So, what they were doing is they're trying to draw everyone to get Game Pass. Because if you have Game Pass Ultimate, you essentially pay 15 bucks and you get Xbox Live with all of those titles, and like we always like me and you say, best value in gaming. So I don't understand why they didn't just say, "Hey guys, we're getting rid of Xbox Live, and if you want to get Game Pass, that way you have all of this and make it the same price as having Xbox Live. That way you're required, you're like, here's this service, you're kind of like getting all of these games, but hey, you might need this to also play online." So I don't understand why they didn't go towards that, especially when you can get Game Pass. You can literally get Game Pass for $1 for 3 months, like right now. So like it's clearly not like a money like issue for them to increase that price. So I think what they were thinking was this will drive everyone to go get Game Pass, but that's just a terrible way to make people go, "Hey, I want to go get Game Pass now because Xbox Live is more expensive than Game Pass." It was such a terrible marketing strategy. And one thing Xbox does really well is market. So I don't understand how all of that even came about. And like Chris said, that dude has to be fired because whoever thought of that, like I get where you want people to get Game Pass, but that's just the wrong way of going about it. And the free thing, that should have been a thing a while ago, especially when more games that were free came out, like free to play games, like Apex, like Smite, like a bunch of those games should have been free. Like you shouldn't need an Xbox Live for those anyway. Because like if I'm playing it on your console, like I already have Xbox, and I'm probably gonna buy your other games. And it just to have that restriction does look very non gamer friendly, and it's
Mhm.
kind of like, well, I don't. Why would I play it on this when I PlayStation and play it for free if I'm just playing it for those games? So it's like it's so weird because I feel like, especially in the next gen, that game Xbox has been the most gamer friendly within next gen. And I feel like this one was just like, dude, what are you guys doing? Like, out of all things you could have done, this was like the worst way to possibly handle it. And to answer Chris's question, if you buy Halo on Steam, you don't have to pay for Xbox Live. If you get it through Xbox, then you have to get it through Xbox Live.
Mm.
Yeah.
Sweet. All right. Well, that was all the stories for today. So real quick before we end, Chris, you let us know what you've been playing lately or watching.
Lately, I have actually been. I just got an Oculus,
Ooh,
and I've been enjoying
Nerd.
the world of VR. Trying to figure out.
you show us the
Uh,
headset. You
what's
got the
that?
headset. You got the headset nearby to show us.
Yeah, actually, I do. It's in the case. Hold
Oh,
on.
it's okay. You know.
Oh, actually, no, it's all right. It's all right. It's next to me, but we'll do it another day.
Okay.
But not only that, I've been playing a lot of Hitman 3.
Nice.
That game is actually really good. That's another. I mean, it kind of brings me back to the whole free game thing. I got into Hitman from PlayStation Plus. They gave me Hitman 2 for free 1 month, and I got addicted. And then as soon as 3 came out, I was like, oh yeah, I have to get this. Um, but that game is fun. I'm definitely going to be doing some challenges and stuff like that, challenge videos and stuff like that. So, um, yeah, that's what I've been doing. That's
What
pretty
about
much it.
all right? What about you've been watching anything on Netflix that you could recommend to us?
Oh man, not that everybody's like probably everybody's watching right now. Not on Netflix, but on I've been on Disney Plus a lot more. WandaVision. If you are not watching WandaVision, you need to be watching WandaVision. It's like it's one of those things, man. If you love Marvel and stuff like that, even my wife, who's not a big Marvel fan, she watches the movies and stuff. When it comes to the show, it's very heartwarming, and then it also gets you very hyped. So I definitely recommend that show.
Okay. What about you, Alan? What have you been playing and watching?
I've been playing the Medium, which is on Xbox. It's actually Xbox's first new next gen exclusive, actually, which I just noticed that while I was playing it yesterday, because I mean it's on PC, but it's through Game Pass. It's a really good game. You're basically a medium, and you are trying to solve this case, and they do a really cool thing where you essentially play in this. You're playing as one character, but you're playing essentially two screens doing the same kind of thing. So like it's one in the medium world, one in the regular world, and you got like puzzle solving. It's more of a story driven game. It's only 8 hours. I probably beat it in 2 days, which is
Only.
great. I mean 2 days without not going. I mean, if I would have played it one like a straightaway, I would have beat it in a day. But like it's one of those like, if you don't have to rush through it. And I think games in general are just getting to that like smaller, we're wanting to tell a story and play for 8 hours opposed to like these long, vast putting 1,000 hours into Skyrim like kind of games. So
Yeah.
which is nice.
God.
It's a really good game. It's on Game Pass. Like we talked about, you could play it on anything on if you have it. Watching obviously WandaVision is phenomenal. I mean, just watch WandaVision because it's so good. And I think because we had a year where we just like the last thing before we got WandaVision was essentially was Spider-Man, like Far From Home. And it's like that was already almost in July is going to be like 2 years. And it's like just
Yeah,
to have a craving of having
it's a nice
MCU
snack. It's a nice snack for
again.
what's to come.
It
Yeah.
just feels so good to have MCU again
Yeah,
because I am also firm belief that we're not seeing we're not going to see Black Widow until the movie theaters open again because it's just too much money for Disney to lose if they don't do that because Disney is in the proper state of they actually have things that people went out for the theater for and to charge people $7.99 it just doesn't work, which is why Mulan failed. And like you can't charge people $30 even though it's a fair price. It just doesn't look fair when I'm already paying $7.99.
and not
But
just
like
that,
realistically,
saying it's gonna come out in December for free
yeah,
anyway.
and then for free, like if I wait 3 months, so it kind of doesn't. But I've been watching that. I mean, Queen's Gambit on Netflix. If you haven't been watching
That's a
that,
good show.
that's amazing. So good.
That's amazing that they
Um,
made chess so
so
interesting.
big. Yeah,
Actually,
but
you
they
should look up sales on chessboards right now. It's
yes,
actually through the roof.
Really?
it's like yeah,
There's been an
chessboard.
increase in chess.
They had like a major chess.com had a major user increase after that show came on. It's like something crazy. There's stats on it. I don't
That's
Even
have
on
crazy.
Twitch, they're showing chess
but yeah,
tournaments on the homepage and stuff.
chess like
There was
It's
one
other
insane.
today.
stuff
Yeah.
because
Alan, I see that in the show notes you also put you're watching the Mandingo. Can you tell us a little bit about the Mandingo?
The
So,
Mandalorian was
Oh,
oh my
can
god.
you tell us a little bit about the Mandingo? Hey man, not my words. You know, you put it there.
I
Anyways,
didn't put it there, but anyway, if
uh,
hopefully one day you guys don't see our show. But anyway, Yendi, what have you been watching? What have you been?
watching. I don't really watch a lot of things. Ancient Aliens. Yeah, you know, I just put it on. I fall asleep to it. You know, have these crazy dreams sometimes. But no,
Mm,
I don't really watch TV. I actually just got Disney Plus for Avery, but then I saw the stuff they have on there, so I do plan to watch some of those things. Like I do want to watch The Mandalorian because I've heard so much about it. I'm not the biggest Star Wars fan. I'm a pretty recent Star Wars fan, actually.
That's okay.
I wouldn't call myself a fan. I like it. I prefer to watch Lord of the Rings.
I
But
want you to watch. Well, we want you to watch WandaVision. So next week on our show, I want like at least watch the first episode. I just want to know from somebody that doesn't normally watch that stuff how they feel about it.
Okay. Yeah, as far as playing, I've recently got the Apex bug, which
all of us
was random. Random because last time I played Apex was probably when it came out, and it looked completely different from now. But now that I play on PC, it feels so much nicer to use mouse and keyboard, and it's just so fluid, and it's just awesome. So I've been playing that, Valorant, which I'm still addicted to, no matter how much I rage at it. You should play sometime, Alan.
Nope.
And I'm actually flirting with the idea of starting a Skyrim playthrough again. Playing as the Stormcloaks this time.
Don't do it.
I haven't seen the other side,
You won't
and
play,
I want
you
to
won't
and
play
I want
any
to
other
join.
game for the rest of the year.
I know, and I want to join the Mages Guild and do that because I never grandmastered that. But I'm flirting with it. I don't know. But lately, though, I haven't really. I don't want to say I haven't had time to play because I've had all the time in the world. It's just I find it hard to sit down and play a game for longer than an hour, which is why games like Apex and Valorant are great because they just pick up and go and not have to worry about finishing story. The only other game I'm looking forward to, which I want to ask you guys too, is actually the New Horizon, which is probably the only reason I'll buy a PlayStation 5. So that is my.
Well, we'll save it. We'll save it.
Yeah, we'll save it.
Yeah, because
So,
I'm hosting next week, so
okay, boom.
We'll save it. Save that.
Okay,
But
so
Leave it on
yeah.
a cliffhanger.
Yeah,
You want to know our thoughts on Horizon Zero Dawn?
yes. All right, well, I guess that's it. We've come to the end of the show.
Before you end it, though,
Yeah.
real quick, Andy, I just want to say to the Twitch chat, everybody watching live, thank you a lot for coming to our first show. It was it went a lot smoother than expected. I think it was great. If you guys go into the about page on the Twitch channel, you'll see all of our handles, our Twitter handles, and stuff like that. Anytime we go live on Twitch, this channel will be hosting. So, like earlier today, Alan was live streaming on his normal channel. If you want to follow his normal channel, that's great too. But yeah, if you want, if anything, just check on the Last Place Fireteam Twitch channel. You should be able to see one of us live at some point. And then Yendi, if you wanted to explain the whole, I don't know if we want to talk about the whole YouTube situation or how we're doing that.
Yeah, aside from doing a live show, we're actually gonna also put an edited version of the show on YouTube on Fridays, and then we'll be releasing at least one video a week. So you'll have at least 3 videos a month or more. And those will be out on Wednesdays. I think we agreed on. And the first video was that you, Chris, or Alan? Right? You're doing first impressions of
doing on the Razer Kishi. Since we spoke about cloud gaming, kind of going to show you guys like a not tutorial, but I guess it would be kind of a tutorial, but kind of a how it works and how it looks and how this particular device feels playing cloud gaming stuff. So be on the lookout for that.
So yeah, just like Chris said, make sure you check out the about section. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube. If you want, tell your friends about us and our Twitch. Make sure you follow us. And we will see you again next Tuesday at 8 when Chris will be hosting for us. Again, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next week.